Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Whoa, hold on. Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for Hoplomachus Remastered and Pandora's Wake. So this discussion is actually going to include everything for Hoplomachus Remastered. We're going to talk about the base game, the skirmish mode for that. Which solo modes did you try?
I did the condemned.
You did the okay.
Yeah, the condemned. I did with the when you're the wretch.
And what is the other one called?
The other I don't know what the name.
Ascension.
Is. Yeah.
I knew it started with an A.
Yeah.
The Ascension mode.
I didn't do Ascension, but then there's just the regular one before. Like when you just do like the
Onslaught.
Yeah.
So, the one where you just fight a bunch of beasts. Okay,
yeah.
I haven't tried Onslaught, so that's nice. Yeah. So I did Ascension.
It's not bad. It's not anything different or special.
Both with the expansion comes the Condemned mode and the Namakya mode. And for the run through, we specifically did the Namakya mode. But I mean, we can pretty much talk about every single mode here. So with Hoplomachus Remastered, previously, like years ago at this point, we had done a run through for that. Funny enough, though, the way we did crowd favor was actually wrong, and because every time you take damage or someone gains an event in the Pozuli map, the opponent gains like health, and there's like a catch-up mechanism in that. But as with 1v1 skirmish games like this, Summoner Wars, Undaunted, the what it boils down to for a lot of it for me, unfortunately, still comes down to the dice. And this is definitely better than just a D10, where it's like, if I get a 10, I hit, because of the different colored dice.
Right.
But I think now, having played a lot more Hoplomachus, and having played a lot more of just their other games and understanding the nuances of their games, I think this game, where originally did boil down to you just rolled better than me, does have a slight element, and we saw it in our run-through, have a slight element, like you said, with chess, where it's like, okay, now positioning kind of matters. Yeah, it still heavily relies on dice to go a person's way, but I think the units you bring out, when you bring them out, do play a bigger factor.
Well, and it brings in that, just thinking about this kind of combat back in the day, right? Like there was it wasn't always given. Always weird shit happened.
Right.
Swing and miss. Somebody pull out.
Someone
block out their
slips
ass,
in like the sand.
So, I mean, that's how I pull the theme with the dice. Just like with just the second to last turn on this playthrough. It's like I had your guy surrounded.
Yeah.
I rolled 8 dice and missed on every single one of them. It's
right.
like, your guy's just sitting here like Matrixing.
Diving in the water.
Right. Right. So I mean, it just themed like that. It's like he's a hero. And he escaped the damage.
The gods, because this game, Hoplomachus and Victorum, have like this realism. It's like 70% realism, 30% mysticism, because they have creatures and stuff. But the gods are kind of playing a favor.
Hoplo's more real than
Victorum. Yeah, right. That's true. But it's kind of like, hey, maybe whatever god she worships is kind of like, hey, tipping the scales. You guys are trying to attack, and there's a wave that they kind of miss. And I actually agree that's helped a lot with these kinds of games, is you have to go in with I think, unfortunately, this more than others, you need to have theater of the mind kind of stuff. That will help a lot, because if you don't do that, if you don't try and zhuzh it up with some creativity or some role-playing, if you're just sitting here going, you're going to get pissed off. At least I will. So that has definitely helped. Really just put yourself in that mindset of, okay, they're battling, really trying to get into the theme, because otherwise, if I keep missing, I'm going to be getting pissed. But unfortunately, if you miss so much, you can only that theme can only help.
Right.
So it is kind of a problem, though, because the skirmish mode is still an hour. Like, there's still long games that do revolve around, I did the best tactics I could, and I still rolled like ass.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there's any way to kind of fix that. especially because there's no way to make it quicker. Play solo. Play the solo modes, and then you won't be as mad because it's
you can still get mad.
You can, but it's only at nothing. Like there's not really, at least for me, there's not a competitive edge to it. Yeah. I'm not competing against you. Mm-hmm. I'm competing against nothing. But ultimately, I will say that the way that the units do come out, or how you actually pull them out, because in skirmish mode, you have them all in a bag.
Right.
And you pull them out, you have 4 at your disposal. Mm-hmm. And trying to read what your opponent can do, how you're going to circumnavigate a lot of abilities where it's like, oh, you have absorb? Sure. Okay, how do I get around that? Oh, I have retaliate. Okay, so, and I have more health, so I can go up on you and have you attack me, and then...
Right.
And then if you hit me, I'm just going to deal damage back. But yeah, I mean, other than that, like, which map did you play on for any of them? Well, I guess one of them, the Ascension mode, you have to do in the Coliseum.
Yeah. I can't remember. It's the Pelusi is the one that has
Pozzuoli.
the two
towers
in the middle.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one
Yeah, so we've actually now played, or I have now played on all the maps. Coliseum is in Ascension. The Condemned is the
Fomel, that's what that one's called.
The prison.
There was one that started with an F.
Yeah, that's the prison.
Yeah, because sorry to interrupt you.
No,
I had all the stuff for the original Hoplo from the early Kickstarters and all that stuff.
Okay.
And there was tons of shit. Like this was such a breath of fresh air because it combined. It cut the number of chips down significantly.
Really?
Because they had there was tons of archers. Because as they put out new expansions, new boxes, they put more and more and more. So there was tons of chips. Like one of these boxes, all chips.
Oh God. I mean, okay.
So they scaled it down to make it more streamlined and less chips. And stuff like that. But they had there was a Fomel map on that.
Okay.
That was kind of the rules weren't very good for it.
I see.
So they redid it this way.
I knew one of the maps was from the original. I couldn't remember if it was if it was the prison one or something else.
Yeah.
So the skirmish mode I think is fine. It is kind of interesting that all of the modes have to be played on a certain map. Mm. Like it's not that customizable. Now the water one I get. Like we're not just gonna have a skirmish match where all of our units start swimming. But it would be interesting if, well, I guess Pozzuoli and in the Coliseum, why you couldn't fight in the prison, do a skirmish mode in the prison, I don't know. But I will say that they do a fantastic job of streamlining, especially if you play this game a lot, like I have recently, because then you get, you understand the skills a lot, and it's pretty straightforward. For the most part. I think there's a few niche edge cases that come in where it's like, so how does this work? And I was so certain that every time I was doing like an ability that was a special, or like Fury Aura, it's like, oh, I deal a damage. It's like, well, does that count? Like, let's say we're playing on Pozzuoli and I do Fury Aura against you. Do I gain crowd favor because I dealt damage to you? I'm assuming so. Because it's like, I dealt damage to the opponent. And I just think of it more of a thematic instance. But, I mean, honestly, out of all the ones that I have played, Skirmish, the Naumachia, and Ascension, Skirmish is my least favorite.
I would agree. I mean, Hoplo I got just because, 1v1 games, I like to be almost card-based. Like, Skirmish games
I can see that.
Are a little less, like, I like the 1v1, like, net runners and stuff like that.
Oh, right.
But I'm so competitive that, like, when we play... I wasn't this one just because it being a new map and we were learning all this stuff, everything. But like when we played Skirmish, when we recorded the last time, you wrecked me.
Yeah.
And I was so damn butthurt, and I get so caught up competitively in that kind of stuff.
Right.
I like to have the card agency a little bit on those kind of 1v1 games.
Yeah.
Like Summoner Wars, you have a little bit of agency in what you have and what you can put out and stuff like that. Not to say anything with this, but when they announced Victorum, I was just like...
You're like, yay!
Because it's like, yes, finally. And the solo mode of the original was
Yeah.
They've done some good stuff with this to bring the solo aspect and some co-op aspect into it. Because you can do that one mode co-op. in this.
Yeah, you can do all of them co-op.
You will right.
Well, all the onslaught and ascension you can do co-op.
Right. The ascension I think was the one that I had heard that co-op was really good at.
Okay, I can see that
and stuff, but yeah, I mean
and this one's kind of interesting. So let's move on to let's move on to this one, the Namakea mode. What do you think?
It was creative. Now the thing is with this, I liked it. Like I'd be curious.
Of course you did.
Well, no,
I
mean, I would be curious to know like what the going against AI on this would be like with AI.
Yeah,
stuff.
the Sailors of the Dead.
Right, but I liked the crocodile aspect to it. It brought in the extra little bit of stuff along with going 1v1.
Yeah.
Having that extra pre-game of how you're going to put your chips out.
Yeah.
I totally lucked into what I did in that playthrough because I was going weird theme with my boats, and I just happened to put a defender at the front, and that ended up saving me out the ass. But then I didn't even use for the first half of the game. I didn't even use my tactician ability, which would have probably got your hero out way quicker.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I was doing damage like a lot with that and stuff. So
yeah, it's
the fiddliness is this though.
I don't know why you can't see anything, so you're constantly having to ask your opponent what is that, or reaching to flip it around. It's awful. There is no reason why. I get it because they wanted to be like, oh, they're standing on the ship, but there is no reason why they couldn't have had a bed to stack them, because it does not matter what the ones behind it are, and they don't have health or anything, so you just stack them like that, so you still see what's on top. And then whenever you have to displace a captain, you just pop the one off. These ships are horrible.
They're just for look. That's really it.
They are, but you could have still had the ship.
No.
And just have a bed that you sit your chips in. What makes me worried is it feels like because of the abilities, I do not feel that they are balanced at all. Because the only way you win in this mode, which, to be fair, I will appreciate more than it was the condemn mode. Because the condemn mode was you had to get your wretch to the other side, or just kill all the other opponents.
Right.
And it's like, well, why wouldn't I just do that instead of trying to risk my wretch? Because that's all the AI has to do is kill my wretch.
Right.
Here, I actually appreciate the fact that there was like kill the hero. Doesn't matter what you do to the ships. Damaging the ships brings the hero out eventually. So there was kind of a race to who can do that first. And because there's a race and that's the only way you win, why would you not put a defender as the front? There is no unit, no faction that doesn't have a defender.
Right, because and that would make the game. Because knowing that, if we played this another time, you would definitely put defender at the front. But then that would just make the game drag so long.
I know, but then you counter it with like, oh, I'm going to put a tactician. So your front two are a defender and a tactician.
Right.
So it's like there's no real creativity in the order of the lineup except what's behind those two. But then you do defender tactician on one ship, defender tactician on the other ship, and then it drags on too long. But that's kind of my problem. Is the beast is like, oh, crocodiles do not mark or target your ship. Well, that might be interesting at the very beginning, because one thing I absolutely loved, the crocodiles were a factor this whole game versus the guardians in the condemn mode, where they were kind of like they were stationary, or in the ascension mode where you can bring sentinels out. There's like footholds and sentinels you can bring out. The sentinels are also stationary. So it's like, okay, well, there's a guardian in the middle that has range 2. I'm just not going to go near it. And the sentinels are all the way over on the other side of the Colosseum. Not going to go near that. Here, it got to a point where it's like, where my hero came out, and it's like, oh, they're moving 4. So it just beelined it towards my hero. It's like, great. But I also like the fact that the crocodiles were like 2 after you, 2 after me.
Right.
So that was, I think, the only reason I had any chance was I killed your crocs first, and then I only had to worry about positioning on where mine were.
Yeah, thanks for killing all the crocs, by the way, and netting the other one. I didn't have to worry about.
But neither did I.
I know.
That's the thing.
But when you were attacking them, you weren't attacking me.
there was no point in attacking you because you had a fucking defender that negated all damage. That's the other thing that pisses me off about that. Everything in this game is centered around the specification of what is an attack and what is not. Mm-hmm. So the defender just being like, dealt damage. Oh, okay, so Retaliate doesn't do shit. Fury Aura doesn't do shit. I have to attack, and even if I have a tactician out that says when you lose crowd favor, you lose an additional one, well, that means I have to basically always get behind 1 damage. Mm. And if I can't do that, then your hero can't come out, and I can't win.
Right.
That is better than increasing range, because if your movement is 6, who cares about where my range is at? That is better than changing yellow to a blue, because oh wow, I get a 50-50 shot instead of whatever a 1 out of 3 at 33%.
I think so.
Yeah. Tactician, you gain an additional tactic if you're on the platform, but there's 6 tactics, so it's like, yeah, these might have played a factor, but unless it's a rate, but you can only ever hold 2. And then Beast, where crocodiles don't target your ships, or target this ship, and you can just kind of outrace them. So I don't understand how that is not the meta. Unless you just finally get, you do a tactician and an attacker. Be like, oh, I hope, because then at least my odds of
try to rush it.
Yeah, but then the other thing that I don't like about this mode is whenever it's like, oh, displace one of your captains, it's like, well, why is it not off the ship that got attacked?
There's the wave.
Right? You're attacked over here by 8 people, but then that captain's like, oh no!
Yeah, I think that would be one thing to counter that meta thing you're talking about, is it would make you focus on that ship to try to knock off that guy. That way it would be, because then that would add a tactical thing into it where you can 1, 2, 3, 4 completely get a ship off the board.
Right.
And then that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because right now when you get to pick and choose, you're always going to have your 2 ships.
Yeah, there's no reason why you would ever not have.
Right.
I guess by having 2 ships, they're 2 weak ships versus 1 strong one.
They're only rolling what is on the deal instead of getting the extra.
Yeah, getting the extra, which is actually, even though the run through literally came down to, I was like, okay, if I can hit your ship, that will bring your hero out, so you have to deploy there. So then I'll have all my people there to try and kill you. If my strategist had rolled a hit on the yellow, I would have killed your hero. Mm-hmm. And imagine how shitty that would feel if you whiffed on all that, and then I'm just like, oh, you have to deploy, hit, and then I swarm and kill your hero as soon as he comes out. I don't find that a satisfying win either, but that was like my only strategy.
I just feel that that's not this. I'm not talking just about this game, but I'm talking about skirmish games in general. Have weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like Summoner Wars. We keep bringing up Summoner Wars, but like any skirmish game that's 1v1, you could have stupid shit like that where you have a bad deal and somebody pulls something out of their ass at the end, or there's abilities and stuff. It's just like old Summoner Wars.
Yeah.
The whole Phoenix Elves. Mm-hmm. And they're just automatic damage. They didn't have to roll dice. You just take a damage.
Oh,
take a damage.
yeah.
Take a damage. That sucks. Right? But,
yeah.
But it's just, I think that's why skirmish games are like super high on my.
Yeah, that's fair.
1v1 skirmish, because it's just.
Because Mythic Battles has Achilles, and you know how
I've used him.
And his nickname in that game is Unchilles because he ignores a damage, and it's hard to deal damage in that game.
I think just the meta of skirmish games in general, because it seems like every skirmish game has somebody like that, or a protector, something that reduces the damage by 1, or any stuff like that. And those seem to be what gets played a lot, because I saved probably 10 to 15 damage crowd favor this game because of that ability. And
on top of it, it's double damage, or it's basically whatever the terminology is, because it's like, well, I put my defenders in the back. And let's say even if I didn't, then like you said, it's super slow. So not only did I not roll very well the whole game, and you rolled pretty well. I wouldn't say it was like god tier
Right.
rolling, but it was like I'd get 2 hits, which would be 1 damage, and your 2 hits are 2 hits, your 3 hits are 3 hits, and it's like, okay, so I guess I'll get my hero out, and it surprisingly still got you there, but it wasn't until my tactician came out.
Yeah, if I would have followed my tactician rules earlier,
Right.
your guy would have come out and it would have changed the deal because your hero would have been a lot faster.
Which means the crocodiles target the hero.
Yeah. So the game wouldn't have been as long, but
No, but again, then it's definitely frustrating. Like, the only reason I'm not really digging on it is because there was it kind of got close towards the end. But I don't understand why they're so like consistent with all of their games of specific, like, yeah, their rules are not that heavy to learn. They're key, like, these are pretty clean. Why they are like defender just ignores damage, because let's say my hero does come out. My hero has Fury Aura, too. Like, the hero's not, like, useless. Then it becomes kind of oh, man, my Retaliate's kind of helpful. My Taunt is kind of helpful. So then I have other ways to get around the defender. But because it just says when it's dealt damage, it reduces it by 1, it's like, oh, so I can't use Fury Aura. I can't use Retaliate. I guess I just have to hope I roll well. Other than that, like, I actually really like the fact that we were moving. Like, we were all over this map. All over the map. Using these tactics are awesome. I think they're better than all the other tactics in the rest of the game. The crocodiles were a huge factor, and menacing, and like being on these platforms to get the tactics, but then also bringing some people out to kind of risk it and help with attacking. Like, this is like, besides the skirmish mode and really every other mode, this was like the first mode in this game that felt like everything was used.
I just like the uniqueness of this map too. Like,
it's cool.
All the different stuff you could do. The one thing it would be kind of cool if you could do, and I mean it would break the game, so it's like if you could choose to hop off the boat.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you would be able to get back on. I'm not saying that, 'cause then that would mess that whole stuff up.
That's true, yeah.
But, like, if you could choose to jump off the boat, just have an extra attacker, maybe an ability you want to use, jump off.
Run the risk of having the crocodiles not move faster,
You could speed the croc. I mean, an extra tactician, you could jump a person off to make that croc move an extra spot to go after.
And I actually didn't mind that the tactics were random.
Yeah.
Like,
they were all had their benefits.
They were all super good.
Yeah.
And those add variety. My biggest issue is in every single mode, the order of bringing your units out matters a lot more. And I feel like this mode, it doesn't. I don't see how you would not put a defender.
Now after playing that, hell yeah. I mean, that's...
Unless it's like, oh, well, I know that's when my opponent is going to do it, so then I'm going to place my defender, whenever he might hop off later, so then I'm taking less damage mid-game. But it's like, why would that doesn't even make any sense? It's like, or just stall the start, because you have the longest to go down.
I just like how my one ship was captained by Fluffy the bear. He was my captain.
Your mad bear. Yeah, it's Paddington. He had the raincoat. Oh, I don't want to get wet. Yeah, and it's like, okay, good thing he whiffed. All those, I could not believe it.
There, I'm like, oh god.
If you watch the run through, I was literally like, well, I we might as well call it. There's no way.
I was like,
we're recording. You're dumbass. We're recording. Let's see what happens. Miss.
Whiff.
I'm like, he might be mad if I pull this off. But I didn't. And other than that, like I found a lot of this, because I also like the fact that the crowd, because in every other thing, the crowd favor is positive. In this mode, it's actually not. Huh?
It's you're gaining favor instead of losing favor.
Right. Everyone's excited about the ships, and then the ships can get damaged. Right. People are jumping. They're like, boo! Because all the crocs are eating the people under the water, so they can't see it. So, but I actually like that, because this actually doesn't feel that bad. Yeah, I know your hero's about to come out, but it's kind of like, well, it'd be worse if it's like, oh, remove a captain. Yeah, they
get it when they pop out. It gives you an extra attacker.
Yeah, now their abilities come into play.
Yeah, that was nice.
That's the only reason I would think you wouldn't put your defender first, because if you want to use their abilities...
That's true. I mean, I guess if you want to take the swarm the board approach and try to get as many people out as you can.
But the problem with that
are going to be killing you.
Yeah, they're going to move 8 spaces, and they go after hero than weakest opponent. But again, the crocodiles are kind of an extra 2 units on your side, because if you position them, they consider all opponents.
Yeah.
So there is a lot to like about the Flooded Coliseum. I just think that the defender unique bonus is better than the rest. Now, do I think it's fair to say to reward that and say when it's attacked, reduce damage by 1? I'd say that's just as good as everything else. Then you would be incentivized to pop someone off, to put someone with Retaliate or with Fury Aura at the top of the ship so they can hop out and now start going after the ship that can deal damage to it with Fury Aura. I don't know, because that's how you do it in all their other games. All their other modes, Hoplomachus Victorum, you're like, oh, all your people have Absorb. Well, I have Fury Aura. That bypasses Absorb. Or I have... Agile. Agile's really good because it's when this unit rolls dice equal to its attack and deals the roll damage. That's how you bypass Absorb. Can't do that. If I had Agile, I still roll and you negate 1 damage. It's awful. it makes me unfortunately, because I don't like metas in games. It makes me I don't want to play the Flood Coliseum mode because I know what we're both gonna do. Unless we just want to get cute and be like, oh, let's not put defenders.
Just randomly take 8 chips and just
have
it face the other person and be like...
Yeah, and also the fact that the ships you can't see your own units is also...
Yeah, that's the weirdest part for me.
It's really bad design. I love the ships. I think it looks really cool on the table.
It almost would have been cool to have like I don't know how to really... like something that's a little bit bigger than the chip that's magneted. That doesn't not necessarily doesn't even have to look like a ship. I mean, you could just have something that you just stack it on so it looks like it's separate from a normal stack of chips.
Yeah,
something that's a little bit bigger, and then just and that's your ship.
Literally, the way I'm having these right now, this could have just been a circle.
Right.
And then you just stack them like you stack the health and you stack everything, all the tactics. Because of this cute little stupid ship, placing tactics like anchor on something, where am I going to put it?
Maybe I'll create a file on my 3D printer and print off ships that these can sit in.
Yeah, that would be... Because I get it. Like, they want them to be standing like but, like, I don't know how someone didn't playtest this and think, well, actually, I can't see my own ships. Mm-hmm. Or I can't see my own ships, so tell me what's at the beginning. Especially when literally all your units, all their stats apply to what your ship is. So it's like, which one is that? Is that my... that's my warrior. Okay.
Yeah. That's kind of the weird fiddliness of this particular map.
But other than that, I thought, like, even whenever I was sure that I was gonna lose. It still ended up being close. Maybe not as close as it would have been if you remembered your tactician. Because I also forgot the tactician ability because it was just gaining additional... It almost feels like the tactician didn't really know what to do
just kind of
with them. Like, you gain an additional tactic. Oh, well, how many are there? 6. Do we reshuffle if they've been used? It doesn't say. Because again, that's kind of a small problem where it's like... Small rulebooks are a double-edged sword because it's easy to learn the modes, but then whenever you have edge cases where you have questions, it's just like, no, we didn't answer that.
Right.
But that's the Nautica mode. What did you think of the Condemned mode?
I thought it was fine. I like how you leveled up your Wretched as you moved on and stuff. That was kind of
they actually became good.
Right. But like you said. I mean, I like it for solo, as it's...
That's interesting, yeah.
I mean, but
to be fair, yeah. So You've only done Onslaught solo. I've only done Ascension solo.
Right.
And Condemned, we've both done solo. Okay.
Yeah, Condemned was just an interesting take on the solo deal, but like you said earlier when we were talking about it, it's like I'd rather just go and kill the things.
Yeah.
Than go to get to the end.
Yeah.
I guess I guess the exit would be like, okay, if you're getting kind of like overrun, just see if you can make it.
Yeah, because there's like I thought the arena die thing was cool. You roll the arena die and that changes what happens, but you can take 2 health off your wrench, to change it to a face. Because that could be like, oh, I'm gonna take 2 damage and put it at a 6, so now he gets +2 movement. So now I can book it. The one thing I thought was interesting is that it's all elite units. They're all heroes that you draft. Now, I kid you not, my draft, 3 out of the 5 had perfect strike.
Oh, nice.
So why would I not just kill it? Because it's like, I'm going to walk in, I'm going to roll, 2 green and a yellow, and if my yellow hits, like, boom, oh, I just dealt 6 damage.
Right.
Like, my thing runs up, and he just caves in someone's skull, and it's like, in the Condemn mode, you gain crowd favor equal to the damage you deal. So I was just like, oh, I have all my perfect strike people up. Maxed out, and my wretch is level 4.
Yeah.
So I feel like this solo, I actually think I might like it better 1v1, because then you always have to keep that into account of, because unfortunately for all the solo modes, while I think the AI is good and they play pretty thematic, it's still a bot, and it could still be stupid.
In a world without Victorum, I would like the solo modes of this stuff.
I see.
But if I'm going to play Hoplo solo, I'm going to play Victorum.
Play Victorum, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So my only really reason for having this and playing it would be to play the 1v1.
Yeah.
Which,
but even
as we've discussed, is kind of not as good as like, because the skirmish is kind of... Yeah,
it can be frustrating.
Right.
Yeah.
So...
And here's the thing. The only reason to have this...
Is the might.
Is so you can have this. Yes. And then you just have this stuff in Victorum. I agree. Like, I think the Condemn mode is interesting. And again, because then it's both elites. Like... You're gonna play your elites better than the way that the bot is going to, because all the bot is single-minded. That's it. Kill the wretch. And again, in the solo mode that I found busted, if you can win by getting to the end, and that's the only way you can win, well, if there's no opposing enemies to stop you, then you get to the end. Well, the only way the captain gets involved is if he becomes alert, or until your crowd favor gets all the way to the end. But keep your wretch in the back. And send all your elite units forward, and then it's like, oh yeah, you leveled up. All right, now you can come in. You're just as good as us. So, but that's in a 1v1, an opponent would know that. The bots are kind of like, well, I mean, I know the opposing elites go after the wretch if he's there, but you can kind of block them. And it's like, well, they can't hit the wretch; they'll go after the hero. So, I found the Condemn mode to again be serviceable solo. But just because I know players would utilize special abilities better, they would know that the only way I win is to go after your wretch, the arena die would matter more. We'd both be jockeying for position where the wretch is trying to move, and it's like, okay, like if I'm trying to kill your units, and then you're like, aha, now I have an alley to run my wretch. Like, oh, I left that open. So I thought the Condemn mode was just kind of okay. Now, to be fair, it did get to a point where I was kind of like, oh, I have this in the bag, and then I realized I left a lane open for when, and then they ran in, and then halved my health, and I was like, oh, no! And then I just, killed someone, got enough crowd favor, healed them again, and moved on. So, I mean, it's okay. It's fine, like, if you really just want something different. Now, the difference of how swingy it's going to be is kind of how you draft your elites. Like, my side had 2 defenders and 3 perfect strike attackers. That could have easily been the opposite side, which would have made things a little bit different. What do you think of Onslaught mode?
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It was
just
you haven't done Onslaught.
I haven't done Onslaught. I looked at it. It's just the creatures, right?
Yeah.
The waves of creatures.
Yeah,
coming at you.
that's what I was gonna say. It's pretty much, think of those video games where you just take on wave after wave of different stuff. I mean, that's really all it is. They send you waves. They get a little bit.
Now,
more
do you just have? Is it
yeah.
what's your units look like? Are they just your people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you pick a hero and
your faction. Yeah. Okay.
Because the last time I hadn't played Onslaught for quite a while, because that one came with the original. I mean, that was.
Yeah, that was in the original.
Yeah, because I hadn't played it for quite a while because I tried playing the new stuff. It's like the Condemned and stuff. I didn't get to do Ascension, but I know about it.
Yeah.
But so it's been a while on that one. But yeah, you just pick your normal hero and group, and you pull out units and stuff. But it's
like it's their original solo skirmish.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot like what it always has been.
I see.
On stuff.
Okay.
But so that's why Condemned intrigued me, because of having the you leveling up your person. You have that, but then it was kind of so
it's kind of like the bots are.
I'm curious about the Ascension though. I because you played the Ascension.
Yeah. So I did the Ascension, which is basically a Titan, which I guess is. I imagine where they kind of maybe got their idea for Victorum. Essentially, Ascension mode is the Scion fight at the end. I played against the Monkey King, Wukong, because Black Myth Wukong came out, and I'm like, oh, hell yeah. But it utilizes shards in a unique way. In the Monkey King, for example, he couldn't be killed unless there were 3 active or equipped shards, and shards gave you agile. But he couldn't be killed by attacks. He couldn't take any damage from attacks, which means that getting a shard gave me agile to bypass that rule. But then if you had a shard, depending on what he rolled, the shards could deal damage to adjacent people and yourself, so it was a risky kind of thing. Out of all the modes here, Ascension's my favorite. Okay. I actually think the Titan there's a variety of Titans. They work like the Scion fight, except it's just the Scion fight, so you don't have to do this whole rigmarole of potentially getting to it. And I think the Titan actually, I think it's a little bit smarter. I mean, it's one unit there might be some units that have, or Titans who might have more units, but I think because it's also a bigger arena, movement matters because it's in the Colosseum. So unlike the Scion fight in Victorum, where it's like, well, I can't really get away from you. This is a very tiny map. Movement matters, but kind of hand in hand whenever we do our discussion over Victorum, which you can probably go check out because it'll be up when this one goes up. The Titan is as good or as bad as die rolls, because you could literally roll blanks and it's like, well, it's not moving, it's not attacking, it's not doing anything, it's just going to stand there and let me beat its ass. Or you rolled all hits, and then it's doing this god tier turn where it just teleports behind my hero and just snaps their neck.
Yes.
It is what it is, but I will say, at least if you want that kind of epic boss fight, and you don't mind the dice, at least you didn't have to play 6 hours to get to it. Right. You can just set it up. And there is a variety, and they're all different too. And as far as I can tell, I actually don't remember. I don't know. Can you take the Scions from Victorum and put them in the Ascension mode? Was there any reason why you couldn't do that? Probably.
I'd have to look at the cards.
I would have to look at that.
I don't think you can, but I'd have to look and see if it has that back of their card on the Victorum card, because it has to have that one back that says what they...
Yeah, you're right. Because the Titans in this have like a setup rule, and then they have the way their dice work. But yeah, between all of them, between Ascension, I haven't played Onslaught, but I can imagine Skirmish, Ascension, the Naumachia, and Condemned. I think Ascension's the best one.
Yeah, be good.
Especially because it's solo, and it works the best solo, I think, and it could be cooperative.
Well, and I'd be interested to see what the Dead Pirates or the Dead Sailors for this would be.
That's true, yeah.
Because I do like, as weird as this was 1v1, if you played this solo, that way your chips could be, you'd be able to
face them yourself. That's true.
All the time, and see what happens. I'll try that at some point, but
yeah. Because unfortunately, like, you can't also really be like, well, I want to know where my chips are, because then if I had these facing me the whole time, then you're asking me what they are. But actually, it doesn't really matter. Because if you're like, it doesn't matter which one you attack.
Right.
Because it's like, oh.
Yeah, so that's probably
So I
one
guess
of the
just keep
things.
them face.
Yeah, because I was going to say you could just go without the ships and make your stack, but then you wouldn't know if they were kicked off.
That's true.
So that's why I was
That's
saying
true.
you need to have something underneath it, or maybe some mag you put on
Yeah.
top, like a little thing that says like a ship magnet.
Yeah.
That's on the top says this is your ship stack.
Yeah, but then that comes into the problem that I think, unfortunately, Hoplomachus just has in general, where it's like the tactics just go under a stack, and then you're like, oh, I had adrenaline, I had that,
Yeah,
you had
this
hamstring, you couldn't have attacked.
This is definitely as updated as this is from their deal after playing, because you never played the original stuff.
No.
It was very tedious.
Really?
But knowing where it came from, I mean, this is their oldest game, you know.
Okay.
So they have refreshed it, but you can still see little elements of it being
It
an older
it feels
game.
dated. Yeah.
And I'm not saying because I still like it. I just like the old original was just so cumbersome with stuff, and it wasn't the setup of this.
Oh, it's clean.
But you had to like actually like there was setup.
Yeah.
In the original.
Yeah,
Like,
this benefits. I mean, this benefits again from having quality over quantity. Hey, I have 10 units. I pick 8 or whatever, or I have 10 units in my bag and I'm drawing 4.
Right.
And again, strategy. But there's more factions out there,
Right.
and I'd rather have more factions that are different than more units.
Right. Just to give you an idea, you know the size of the Victorian box.
Yeah.
2 boxes like that was what Hoplo was.
Of just
Of chips
units.
and all that stuff.
now, were there factions?
And then there
or
was the
it-
rise of because there was the rise of Rome, and the other one was the big ones, and then there was another box that was about yay big.
Okay.
That was there's 3 boxes of stuff, and there was factions, but each because you army built.
Oh, you chip
So
built.
so it's like you know how
Whatever.
these come with whatever however many chips and,
Yeah.
and a deal. Like you had a stack
I see.
of chips, and you had a lot to choose from, but there
I
were so
gotcha.
many, so they narrowed it down. So I'm talking like there was a lot
Yeah.
of stuff. 2 Victorian-sized boxes and then another box, all
Yeah.
stuff for that, and it's combined down to this because all that will fit in this.
It does, and it fits nicely. Yeah.
Right. So I mean that's how much they narrowed it down and got rid of the
It did.
extra.
Yeah,
they
that
cut
is
the
a
fat a little
lot.
bit.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it was their first game, so
Yeah.
so they, you know,
They've learned over
Right.
the years.
and they got their own because
Yeah.
the original had clip art almost on their
Art's
on their
really good.
deal, so this is
Yeah.
all original art and stuff.
And even though it's chips, it does allow for theater of the mind stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also just a personal thing. Any game, even heavily thematic games, like if I'm rolling dice for a significant amount of time, it's no more. I'm not role playing anymore. I'm now pissed if the
Mm-hmm. Right.
dice are being just awful. But I will say, I mean, I guess I haven't tried Pandemonium mode or Alliance. I just don't have any friends.
Yeah, and that's enough. We've talked about this with games over the years
Yeah.
that try to throw so many modes into a
Yeah.
box. You know, like I mean, I don't know if that's the case with this one necessarily, but sometimes
I mean,
they go too many modes,
It's
and
7
it
modes.
takes away from
Yeah.
what their core was.
Yeah,
You
which
know?
is actually what I was going to say, is that besides Pandemonium and Alliance, there's 7 modes, and I was actually going to say none of them are bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're all relatively good. There's just this is not my favorite in the world. But would I play it? If I'm feeling a Greece or Roman, it's a Roman gladiator theme, especially with like knowing that, I mean, just how spectacular Gladiator 2 was. They nailed it. Brad has a tattoo of it on his arm.
don't.
He won't show it, but he's a
It's
little
on my
bit-
ass.
Only I've seen it. It does scratch that itch, which is an improvement because I remember our first discussion. I was like, I'm still searching for that Gladiator, and besides Arena Rex, what I will never play or pay for,
Yeah.
it does hit that. So, if they make more content for Hoplomachus Remastered, do I think they will? Probably not.
Depends. I didn't think they were going to come out with that. Because they can come out
Well,
with
this
stuff.
feels like this was like a, hey, we got an expansion for Victorum, and...
Well, I think that's the way they're going to do now. Is if they come
Yeah.
out with something, it's going to be something that goes for both.
Yeah.
You know, but I was going to say real quick, if I'm going to play this Hoplomachus Remastered Skirmish.
Yeah.
Between normal, this is the one I'm going to play.
Oh, yeah.
The canonical one.
Oh, this is the one you're going to play?
Between over the regular
skirmish mode? Interesting.
Because it changed. Of course, I played a lot of the other one over the years. This one is such a... Even though there's the things we've talked about and didn't like, the fresh air that comes in, where this stuff goes, the crocodiles, the tactics that are stuff. I know the ships are what they are. That's one of the complaints. But,
and the meta of having defenders being
right. But I mean, there's, but I still, because there was things about the regular skirmish mode that were just I thought were rough too. And when we played, then recorded.
Well, because the Pazuli is like kind of king of the hill, and it's like if you have if you have a unit that can just rush it and you have no way to get them off.
Right. I think every mode has a bad thing, kind of like that, or every type of game, and I just think this one's cool because there's more, especially with this. I mean, I know they're putting the defender in front and stuff, but there's choices at the beginning of how you want to put stuff out.
I mean, I agree. I think I had more fun with this one, even though I was like, dude, the writing's on the wall,
and we were all over the map.
And you actually move and now, to be fair, whenever I played the skirmish mode on the Pazuli, and I was whooping, we were missing the every time I got a crowd favor event, we weren't giving you health or anything like that. We weren't doing the catch-up mechanism, so that does make... But, I mean, still, if you're getting your ass handed to you in skirmish mode, that's it. There's nothing to come back from. Here, it's like, I mean, you're destroying my ships, or you're hitting my ships a lot more, but I'm still around.
Yeah.
My units aren't dying. Well, I only lost... How many units did you lose? 4?
2. Because these were the 2.
Oh, yeah. Big. I lost 3, but I didn't feel really like I was underpowered.
Right. I think the other thing was I lost my train of thought.
I don't know.
Crap. Was just in skirmish mode, everything is 1, 2, 3 movement generally.
Yeah.
Right? Like having that captain movement where we can move 6. Yeah. That could reposition. If you're in a tough spot and you have an alley, you could go and flank.
No, yeah.
And I think that's another reason I like it, because you can't, because in that you could just get caught in a corner, and then it's just, you're slugging out until you have to slug yourself
Which
out.
Which is thematic, if you have 4. I know
agree.
it, but I've always said that theme doesn't make good game mechanisms.
Right.
Here, like, there was a point where my hero was out, and I was like, I rushed all my people back to block you. It's like, now you can't get to my hero. Right. I'm going to kill this croc because that one's netted. So if you want the croc to come after me, then you're going to have to go hit it. And you whiffed on the croc too.
That's all right.
You whiffed on the whole thing, and I'm like, how mad would you have been
if I lost?
If you had lost?
I would have been mad at myself more than that, because I'm not doing the...
because
your hero would have been out way earlier.
That's
and it could
true.
have changed it, but who knows?
But if my hero was out earlier, that was actually... My ships would have been stronger.
Yeah, but I could have been going after your heroes.
Right.
It still was a timing thing, because my defender, all I had to do was just outlast. Yeah. Because, I mean, you were just doing one...
That is true. It actually... Unfortunately, because there's no way to gain health in this, it's like... It is unfortunate that...
I mean, that chip is... This chip is the only way you can really gain favor back. And...
I mean, Anchor really saved me. Kept your guy away.
It kept him away, but it still did kept his ability. Then I mean,
it's so stupid. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Because whenever I played Rupture, and it's like, oh, I'm adding 4 blue. I was like, man, I gotta get that defender off, and then it's like, I did, and then you just hop that one way over here, and I'm like, oh yeah.
It would have been interesting if there was a tactic chips that said like rough waters, and it's like kick off a captain. You get to choose a captain to kick off the ship. That would have been kind of an interesting tactic to add. It
should have been whichever displacement triggers off of the attack of the ship is the captain that gets knocked off the ship.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, this so far. I mean, the more I would play this, it may change, but. I've had this was a more pleasant experience because it was just a breath of fresh air over the other skirmish games I have played.
That's true. Okay, so with all of that considered, a scale of 1 to 10, what are you giving Hoplomachus and the Pandora's Weight? They're all kind of lumped into one.
Yeah, put them all into one. I would say as a whole, like if Victorium didn't go, it would be a higher score. That's the thing, because like if Because
you would take the solo modes.
Yeah, because I would take them in a more deal.
Yeah.
Because this would be probably a 9 for me if Victorum didn't exist. With Victorum being here and still enjoying the game and stuff, I'm probably going to go an 8.
Wow.
On this as a whole.
Yeah.
Because I play solo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, all the bad modes.
Because,
because
not to spoil, because when we start talking about Victorum, that's going to be a very, very high score.
Yeah.
And that's why. The solo is what breaks it here.
Yeah.
Because the solo, like you said, the bot, where it just is kind of a one-track mind and stuff like that, which a lot of bots are. I mean, that's how all of them are.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything bad about that necessarily, but in a world
all
where
bots are kind of a race,
right,
almost.
but in a world where I can play Victorum solo, be in the same world, and play a game where there's a little bit of theme to it, and a story, and all that stuff, I'm going to choose Victorum over this all the time.
Sure.
Yeah,
but then whenever you talk about 1v1, which is why you would only play this, you only like one of the two 1v1s.
I know, but I still like it. Like, I'll still play it. Like, if you said, hey, we're going to run through and we're going to play a tournament and do skirmish mode tournament, I would play it. I like the game.
You could do it.
I like the game.
Yeah.
It's just like having this and Victorum at the same time, released at the same time.
Yeah.
And everything. You can't not compare them.
And they're also not, they're not isolated anymore.
Right.
With this makes all this stuff like, it's not like, oh, I can only use these Parthians in Remastered. Nope.
I know this is a review for this game in particular, but you cannot say one without the other.
Oh, sure. Just like when we did Elder Scrolls, we compared it to Too Many Bones.
Right.
They're clearly, Chip Theory understands that their games are what they are, and they even say we're utilizing what we have made.
So yeah, an 8 on this one.
An 8. I am not that high because the Ascension mode is actually a lot of fun for solo or cooperative. I think that the bosses there are fun, albeit completely swingy. Like, they could do. I think overall it lumps into a pretty average balanced experience where it's like. Because whenever I was doing my run-through for it was like, oh, he's not doing anything. And in one mode, it's like, oh, he just wiped all my people on the map. It's like, cool. So the Ascension mode's good. Again, I didn't try Onslaught, but if it's basically skirmish with a bot, that it is what it is. Skirmish mode, I'm not the biggest fan of, just because the dice are going to get to me. This has I have issues with metas, like in games. Like I love the tactical variety that you can get, where the way you're pulling bags or units out of your chips, and it's like, ooh, okay, I want to bring this person out because then I'm gonna bring my beast out, then my beastmaster, so I can control that, and then position them on the map, and it matters. And it's like, now I'm going to use shove on that person that's on the platform, so I can take them off, and then they're going to fall into the spot where my bear is at, and my bear's going to attack. There's a lot of that, but here it's like, no, there's not a lot of that. The abilities don't actually matter until they get displaced, which they're never getting displaced because they have defenders on. All that being said, I think I'm at a 6 for Remastered, because there's gonna be just too much that's gonna eventually just start making me upset. Even though I like that we were positioning the crocodiles mattered and stuff, it's like every mode here, at least the competitive ones, the writing's on the wall, unless it's like the 1 in a million chance that you absolutely miss. Which, again, shouldn't have even happened, because he should have been out earlier. And even though where it's like, oh, okay, if I get one hit and you have to deploy your hero, and then I get all hits over there, then I'll spawn kill him. That feels cheap. Versus anything. You even said it earlier, like, now you're like playing chess. You just keep moving your king back, and it's like, yeah.
It's like when you get that idea where the king moves here, the pawn moves here, king moves here, pawn
right.
Moves. It's like you're back, or not pawn, but you know what I mean, like,
yeah, like my words, like if
your
your ship's movement happened to be like 3, or 1 had anchor on it or something, and it's like, okay, now you just can't get to my hero. That's not fun in chess. It's like, dude, just concede. Nope, I'm still alive. I'm still alive. You have to dance. It's like whatever. Like, yeah, it was funny that you completely whiffed, but I knew that there was no hope.
I guess that's what happens when you have a bear as a captain. That's like pawing.
Who approved this? Yeah, it's dice. It's dice at the end of the day. And if I would give Undaunted a 5, but I like the theme here better, and there's better modes, it just goes up to a 6. There's no world where this is ever an 8 or a 9. But that's it. That's my thoughts on the Hoplomachus Remastered. Now, would I play this? Yeah, I'd still play it. I'd play the Namakya mode as testers, just to be like, okay, if you have put defenders on, and we don't even know if they stack. Like,
I know, if they stack, that would be. They can't. There's no way. Because especially with strategists, or with having the tactician stacking and all that stuff too, there's just
where it's like, oh, you lost a crowd favorite, now you lose two more.
Yeah, I just don't see how that would work, because your archer, because
the archer just says it adds the range of your other captain to the ship's range, but the archer's ability would cross over to each other.
Yeah. So
why would the tactician's ability not stack? Why would the defender's ability not stack?
Yeah.
The attacker specifically says that ship. That makes sense. And the beast are kind of this beast also target that ship. So it's tactician, archer, and defender.
It says right above it. The bonuses for that and defense do not stack.
Okay.
Let's read the text of the deal.
The bonus for tactician. It specifically says tactician and defender.
If the captain has multiple classes, use the top class list. Okay.
Gotcha.
So never mind.
Well, good. Good.
So we played it right. We played it right.
Yeah. But and the other thing about this mode is it completely pretty much wipes the uniqueness of all the factions.
Mm-hmm. Until they get displaced.
Until they get displaced, which is kind of an interesting thing, because then you're going to put defenders in the front, but you might position them in a way so when they do hop off, you have better abilities. But that's where I think the skirmish mode supersedes this, because then the uniqueness of your faction matters. But Ascension mode is still really fun, albeit your Titan might be dumb. And Condemn mode is okay. I think Condemn mode is the one out of all of these that would be better 1v1 versus solo.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 6, maybe 6.5 if I'm in a good mood.
8.
Because
I'm a chip theory fan.
Yeah, I'm like, you're a stand for chip theory. So you're biased, so pretty much ignore everything Brad said.
No. It's a good game. You just have to know that if you're a skirmish player, it's going to be a skirmish game like a normal skirmish game, because the stuff in this is no different than any other skirmish game. Yeah. There's randomness, there's swings, there's stuff.
Yeah.
But if you don't like skirmish games, then you're not going to like this.
That's true. It is not it's not pulling a Mythic Battles Pantheon where it's like, I don't like dice in skirmish games. Hold on. Right. These dice are better than Undaunted.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah. There's only one surefire way to hit in this one. That's if you have a red die. So, anyway. That's it, everyone. That's our thoughts on Hoplomachus Remastered and Pandora's Wake. Let us know what you think of all that in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.